reconciliation services. What does it mean? How does it work? Before we start, some key takeaways when working with OpenRefine. You need to know your data set. You need to know what the fields mean. You need to know what you want to achieve. I think that's the most important thing with OpenRefine. If you don't know what you want to do, it's difficult to find solutions. So be aware of what your goal is when working with the data. Don't be afraid of hitting every button you find. Don't be afraid of testing every function you can see, because there's this great undo button. So if anything goes wrong, just undo. Those are the most important links when we are talking about reconciliation services. We need to filter down our data set a little bit. There are several ways of getting a random subset of the data. What I choose to do, if I have something like a barcode or a number, I always go for filtering and just filter for 42, and usually you get a nice subset of the data set. So in this case, if we apply this filtering, you will get a subset of 40 matching rows, which will be the ones we are going to work with in the next couple of minutes. Reconciliation means basically that you take a value from this row, send it to a service, and ask the service if that service knows that value, and the service will give back you information which it has on that value. This sounds pretty abstract, but we will start with the country names, which will make it clear in a moment what happens if we use Wikidata reconciliation. You usually want the most clean data possible. We can see we have some unknown countries which we don't really want to check if they exist. So we filter them out first using a text filter, looking for unknown. These are the ones we don't want. So this excludes basically all the unknown countries of this subset of data. So now we have a clean subset of data of country names here. And my goal is to get the Wikidata, the QID of these country names. For that, I can use this small blue arrow here in the top, go to reconcile and start reconciling. This will look different in your screens. Please have a look and check if you have this Wikidata reconcile link in your services. If it should not be there, you can always add standard services by entering the URL of that service. In this case, you just enter URL, add service, and then it will appear in your list of services. So I guess everyone has the Wikidata reconcile link, so we can just click it. And then we need to wait. So reconciling is a lot about waiting, especially if you're working with large data sets. Therefore, it's always good to start with a small subset to understand what you are doing before applying everything to a large data set of several thousand records. In this case, we were looking for the IDs of the countries. We go for sovereign states. You can choose here several types. If I choose here, it will look only for country names which are instance of a Rechtsstaat. This is not particularly helpful in this case, so we are just looking for sovereign states. If you are not sure what you are looking for, you can also reconcile against no particular type. Then it just searches the whole knowledge graph for the country name, which will give, in this case, very messy results. So we go for sovereign states because we are pretty sure that we are getting good results. We auto-match candidates with high confidence, and that's enough for this case. And then we hit start reconciling, and we need to wait again. We are working on this column country here. We are trying to get the Wikidata item for these countries. So actually, this is not very beautiful. Did not work out so well, which is interesting to see. I matched against sovereign states, did not find France, but Philippines matched. Argentina matched, Peru matched, and many of the others did not. So this is not really a helpful result. We can have a look at the automated facets which appeared on the left side. So we have two new facets which are always appearing after reconciliation, which gives you usually three choices. Some are not reconciled at all, so there was no results. Some have been matched, which is great. And there are some responses, but OpenRefine is not really sure if they are correct. So this is something you should check manually if you want to. Also, you have here the best candidates score, which means you see the small numbers here in the back. This is likelihood with which the string you were searching for matches the string which is found on Wikipedia, 100. So this is pretty good. But also German Reich, because it's very closely attached to Germany, it also matches to 100%. The scoring really depends on the service. With Wikidata, my feeling is it's not too helpful to use it, but you can always have a look. If you want to narrow down your data you are working with by using this slide bars here. For now, we are going to undo everything because this is not good enough. This is too much work on 35 data sets. I have to do almost everyone once again. So this is not really what I want. We are still looking for sovereign states, but I'm going to add some more information to get better results. We have this column here on the right side, country codes, which gives some additional information. This makes the request a little bit better and cleaner. And we are going to match this against property 297 of Wikidata. Usually you get here the live information of Wikidata. What is the property standing for? This property standing is for the ISO code, the 2-digit ISO code for country names. We should get a much better result because we are giving more information to the service where to look for. So it looks for the name of the country, plus it checks for the country code. And as expected, this looks already much better. We have much more reconciled data than before. Puerto Rico should be on Wikidata. So usually here shows up a QID or a data item, and you can just match it. Having a look at the matched data, you have several things you can do with this data now. It looks pretty much the same, just in blue. So you might ask, why the hell did we do all this trouble of reconciling this data? But now comes the magic of reconciled data. And I will show you some options, starting with add identifiers column, which gives you the ID of the reconciled value. So now you have here in that column the list of QIDs, the Wikidata Q items, IDs for Poland, for Philippines, and so on. One really helpful function for reconciliation is if you use the existing QIDs, which we are doing here, again, doesn't make too much sense here, but just to show what happens, use these values as identifiers. So if I use these values as identifiers and I choose again the Wikidata reconciliation service, it's really fast and it turns this into reconciled values, which allow you to continue to work with it. So I want to know the capital cities of all these countries I matched before, and I can just click on capital and pulls me from Wikidata the information about the capital city of all these countries. It's not really helpful for this data set, but you get the idea. And it OpenRefine automatically adds a new column with the capital pulled from Wikidata. Like that, you can enrich your data set with any information you want. We can have a look at scientific name. This is from a botany collection. There's a service called Global Names. Here you get from a different service in this kind, from Global Names, the full scientific names, which also will allow you to do the same things like adding more information. In this case, I'm interested in the canonical form and the data source to be added easily to my data set and improving and enriching the set plot. So this is the basic idea of reconciliation service. Global Names pulls data from different databases, and I opened here the data source for that reason. You can see that some of the taxon data is coming from Catalog of Life, but also other services are used for this service of Global Names. For plant names, it's working quite fine. There's one for Flora, World Flora Online. This is something you, when working with reconciliation services in the beginning, might want to try, which is the most helpful for the particular use case you have. For most of the use cases, Wikidata is the first place to go. But of course, if you have more specialized use cases or also geodata, there are plenty of other services which might be of interest. The green bar is the amount of the reconciled data in your data set. This is the work you still have to do to reconcile the whole data set. And here it's completely green because it's just referring to the one the data is coming from. The data here is not clean enough. I might want to clean the data just to have last names or first names. Then I could use other types to reconcile to, but in this case, I just can reconcile to they are all humans that I know for pretty sure. In this case, I want to limit the maximum number of candidates returned because if not, I will get very long lists of names. Just running the reconciliation service again, reconciling with Wikidata in this case. This is the collector name reconciliation facet. I got 10 matched out of 35, which is already good. 3 did not work at all. This one at least is not very surprising because it's more than one name. These are the ones we still need to work on. So here was Abi Warburg. That's the one I checked before. Warburg, Abi Warburg most probably did not collect anything for any specimen which is now in the botanical garden, but Emil Warburg was a German physicist. He's also not very likely, but Otto Warburg is a good candidate. So if I think it might be Otto Warburg, of course, I want to do some more research. I can open Otto Warburg and I see that he was a botanist, a botanical collector, which already is good, and he was employed by the Humboldt University of Berlin. So most likely Otto Warburg is the one we are looking for in this case. What can I do if I choose Otto Warburg? Match this cell is a little bit buggy, so match all identical cells will match to the collector name Warburg, and match has now 11 results, including hopefully somewhere Otto Warburg. That's the way to go forward for everything which is not reconciled yet. If we are talking about 1,100 data records, this is going to take a while. The only recommendation I can give you working with people name, get it as clean as possible. Do some clustering before, reduce the complexity as much as you can, and then you will get hopefully good results. But there's still a lot of manual work involved. OrcIDs has an own reconciliation service. You can do a lot of cool things with OrcIDs as well. What you could do to get the ORCID number is to work with Wikidata. That's what I did in several other cases. So you reconcile first the names with Wikidata, then pull in the ORCID from Wikidata with that property.